Okay, this video is from the book John Mcdougall, The Doctor Who Fought for You by me, Pete Rogers. We're in chapter 14 on dementia from Dr. Mcdougall newsletter 2010. Title is Copper and Iron from Meat Cause Damage to the Brain and Body. Persons in the top fifth of copper intake have a 3 times increased risk of cognitive impairment. The authors recommend to avoid almost all multivitamins because they're often loaded with metals. They'll contain copper and or iron. You want to avoid eating all meats because they tend to be plentiful in copper and iron. Copper and iron are much more bioavailable from meat than they are from vegetable foods. Liver and shellfish are especially high in copper. I would never eat, organ meats like liver. I would never eat shellfish either. I worry about some toxic stuff in there. Besides HG. Red meat is especially high in bioavailable iron. 80% of homes in the United States have copper pipes for water. Reverse osmosis filters can remove the copper. Reverse osmosis, ion exchange, distillation, acid neutralizer systems, KDF filters, they can all remove copper from water. Ceramic filters and carbon filters usually cannot remove the copper. Other metals in our food and water that also cause cognitive impairment, especially aluminum, and they put that in tap water routinely. The Western diet is associated with dementia because of the damage from cholesterol and high fat in the diet. The Western diet is like the Broad Street pump. The Broad Street pump was you could plot infections, let's say for dysentery, cholera, and this one epidemiologist, I think this was back in the 1800s or something in England, I think his name was John Snow or something, he noticed that all the infections they plotted around the Broad Street pump, so he just took the handle off the pump and there weren't any more new cases, so that was the right thing to do. Dr. Mcdougall says, the Western diet is like the Broad Street pump, and even though we might not agree on exactly what's the main component causing the chronic diseases, all the evidence points to it, and the wise thing to do is avoid the Western diet. So these are some more of Dr. Mcdougall's newsletters related to brain disorders that are associated with food. Okay, a natural cure for depression. Drugs fail for treatment of depression. Yeah, the SSRIs really, when they're looked at closely, they're very poor for the treatment of depression. Okay, an article on Parkinson's disease and other diet-induced tremors. Some of those pesticides are quite bad related to Parkinson's. Parkinson's disease is more common in persons who eat the Western diet, including white and black Americans. Rural Africans, Chinese, and Japanese who eat lots of vegetables or quasi-vegan diets, they've got much lower rates of Parkinson's. Drinking milk in midlife was associated with increased risk of Parkinson's and prostate cancer. One probable mechanism is the destruction of the blood-brain barrier by excessive dietary fat. Once this barrier has become abnormally permeable, then autoantibodies will have increased access to the brain parenchyma. Parkinson's disease is possibly an autoimmune disease. There's possibly also an increased incidence of Parkinson's disease in multiple sclerosis patients. Fish and livestock animals bioaccumulate pesticides because they're high on the food chain. Let me just move myself a little here. When humans eat these foods, they bioaccumulate the pesticides themselves, and these can cause Parkinson's disease. A lot of them are toxic to mitochondria. The chemical harmine is present in beef, pork, and chicken. When cooked at high temperatures, there's an increased concentration of harmine. Worse, if you pan fry or grill or grill barbecue your meat, that's a real bad idea. Plant-based, starch-based diet helps the body detoxify. Another Mcdougall newsletter of 2009. Vegans make plenty of essential fats. So it's a Sanders paper, DHA status in vegetarians. So Mcdougall talking, in the absence of convincing evidence for the side effects of taking the lack of DHA in vegetarians. So he doesn't believe there's significant side effects from being short on DHA in vegetarians. He said it must be concluded that the needs for omega3 fatty acids can be met by dietary ALA, alpha-linolenic acid. So it's a C18, 18 carbons long, N3, first double bond in N3 position, the third carbon. That's why it's omega3. DHA is naturally found in human breast milk. The human body has no difficulty in converting the plant-derived omega-3s into DHA or other omega-3 fatty acids in the liver, thus supplying our needs even during gestation and infancy. So what he's basically saying is you don't need to eat that stuff, okay? You don't need to eat fish to seek out your, and you don't need DHA supplements. Okay, June 2009 newsletter, fish is not brain food. Dietary intake of fish and omega-3 fatty acids in relation to long-term dementia risk, paper by Elizabeth DeVore, July 2009, article of American Journal of Clinical Nutrition. It found that moderate consumption of fish and omega-3 PUFAs was not associated with a reduction in long-term dementia risk. Fish is not a health food. That's an important point because a lot of people, they think fish is good. No, fish is for chumps. It's animal muscle, and it's got lots of saturated fat, and it's also got lots of contaminants in it. The ocean's like a sewer, and it often has HG in it. The most thorough review ever conducted, 48 randomized controlled studies of fish and omega-3 fats, was published in 2009, and the omega-3 fats did not have a clear effect on total mortality, combined cardiovascular events, or cancer. So I think we'll leave it right there. We talked previously about other problems with omega-3 fats. They increase your risk of prostate cancer. They increase your risk of obesity. They lower triglycerides, but they increase blood cholesterol. They're obesogenic. They're atherogenic. They're immunosuppressants. They're best avoided. You get enough omega-3s from eating low-fat plant foods.